You toss a tennis ball into the air, track its arc, and swing your racket. In that split second, you feel entirely in control of your movement. Dive beneath the skull into the biological hardware of the brain, and that control starts to look like an illusion. You find a dense, actively firing web of neurons reacting to stimuli. In the classical integrate and fire model, these neurons operate exactly like the silicon logic gates in a smartphone. A biological dendrite receives an input, integrates it, and triggers a signal once it hits a specific electrical threshold. It is a strictly mechanical cause and effect loop. Human beings are complex biological autopilots executing pre-programmed code. Under this digital model, we operate without any actual agency. To test this, scientists designed the Readiness potential experiments. They asked subjects to move a finger whenever they felt like it, tracking the electrical activity in their brains leading up to that moment. This graph reveals a glaring timeline anomaly. The dotted line represents the brain's readiness potential, showing a steady buildup hundreds of milliseconds before the subject reports any conscious intention to move. The physical brain starts the action before the mind is aware of making a choice. Philosopher Daniel Dennett called this process Orwellian revisionism, arguing the brain acts on non-conscious autopilot and edits a false feeling of choice into your memory after the fact. According to our best classical models, real-time free will is scientifically impossible. You are a helpless spectator trapped inside a moving vehicle, convinced you are steering the wheel. That bleak conclusion assumes the inside of a neuron is a hollow, dumb conduit passing electrical signals. Zoom deep inside the structural scaffolding of a single cell to find a microscopic, shifting architecture made of spiraling protein tubes. These are called microtubules. This diagram shows how the individual tubulin proteins comprising these tubes act as subcellular computing bits. At this tiny scale, they exist in quantum superpositions, holding both a 1 and a 0 state simultaneously. The human brain functions as a massively parallel molecular quantum computer. It operates at a depth far exceeding the limits of any digital machine. These quantum states entangle across thousands of neurons via physical windows called gap junctions, uniting internal microtubule networks. Through these connections, a unified quantum network collectively computes across the brain. As these entangled states multiply, they build up gravitational self-energy within the geometry of spacetime. Physicist Roger Penrose identified a mathematical threshold for this energy, expressed here as E equals h bar over t. When the escalating quantum superposition hits this vertical limit, it spontaneously collapses into a single definite state. This spontaneous quantum collapse, known as objective reduction, functions as the biological mechanism generating each discrete moment of conscious awareness. This collapse is influenced by the fundamental geometry of the universe. It is a non-computable event that breaks the chains of algorithmic determinism, allowing for actual, unpredictable choice. The mechanics of that choice rely on quantum entanglement. When particles are unified, forcing one into a definite state instantaneously affects its entangled twin, regardless of the physical distance between them. This diagram models how that connection behaves through temporal non-locality. The wavy lines show quantum information flowing backward through classical time to its entangled origin point. The biological quantum collapse inside the brain does more than create a feeling of consciousness. It mechanically alters the immediate past. Returning to the finger movement experiment from earlier, this quantum model finally resolves the timeline paradox. The data was accurate. The conscious decision occurs late. However, that specific quantum collapse sends information backward in time, triggering the brain's earlier physical preparations. This electrical activity represents the physical echo of the choice you are about to make. Human consciousness shapes reality as an active, real-time force, powered by the deep quantum architecture of ourselves. You are the architect of your actions.